Hi everybody, it's Annie and I'm here to do another quick craft with you for our Get Crafty series. And today we are going to do some easy macrame style feather bookmarks. So I picked an ombre look for this one. And here's another one that I did with 4 colors. So you just need a few supplies. You need a couple ends of yarn, and it works best if you have everything that's the same weight. You also need a ruler, some scissors, and some tape. I have some washi tape that I'm using, but you can use Scotch tape or masking tape, duct tape, whatever you have around the house. The first thing that you're gonna need to do is cut this foundation piece of yarn. So when I have tried this, I've been cutting it at about 12 inches. So you wanna measure that out. And then I like to cut all the pieces for the furry part of the feather before I get started. So, you know, be as creative as you'd like to. I've got this whole bowl of yarn with all different colors. I just happen to like a more, you know, ombre or monochromatic look, but however you want to plan it out. And those pieces of yarn you need to cut to be about 6 inches long. So in this example, I'm going to use white, gray, and this kind of jade green color. And I'm going to do it an ombre like in the examples. So for that, I cut 6 pieces of white, 8 of gray, and 10 of the jade green. So that's gonna give me kind of a pretty short feather. So if you want a longer feather, you would need to cut more pieces. So once you have that foundation piece cut, what you're gonna do is tape that down to your workstation so it doesn't get away from you. And when I taped it, I just used, you know, like I said, this washi tape. And I taped it about 1 inch from the top the first time. And then I folded this one down and this little end down and taped across there as well on my flat surface. And that held it much more firmly in place so that you're not losing it as you begin to work. So now we need to know the very super basic knot that we use for this entire thing. And I'm pretty sure it's called a lark's head. I'm not a macrame person, but that's what I think it's called. So I'm gonna pick it up here. I'm gonna pick up my phone here to show you up close how you do it. So you can see that I already got this started. So I've got a couple there and I'll give you a close-up. But then here is the knot, okay? So you need to fold 2 pieces of your short yarn in half and loop them together. So I always fold 1 in half and slip it under my foundation yarn from right to left. From right to left. And then I take the second one and I go the opposite direction and I loop them under and over, and then you just snug it up. So you pull those snug, and again, there's the close-up. I'm gonna put this back. Okay, so now you're just going to continue knotting like that. So again, you're going to fold 1 in half and put it under, fold the other 1 in half and put it over, and then loop them together and snug it up and push it all up there to the top, okay? So let me set this up again and I'll do another close-up. I know it's a little bit hard. I don't have one of those cool overhead cameras to be able to film just the right angle for my fingers, but I'll show you one more time. There's the close-up, and then I'm gonna snug them together and then push it up so that it meets up with all the rest of them, okay? So it's a fairly easy knot to do. I've got one more set here. So I'm gonna snug that knot together and then push it up, okay? So now we are ready for our next step, and you can pull your tape off, and here it is. It's just a bunch of strings now. And so what I like to do now, so that I'm not working with a ton of extra material, is give it a little bit of a haircut. So I like to leave about maybe an inch or an inch and a half, let's say an inch and a half of the yarn between the foundation and where I'm cutting. So I'm just gonna snip off these ends and then flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. So now we are coming to the most time-consuming part of this project, but what I think is the most fun, and that is fraying all of these ends. So you're just going to untwist the yarn. So you just use your fingers. You might need to use your fingernails. I've seen some tutorials online where they use a comb, but with regular worsted weight yarn, the twist is, too tight. The comb doesn't really work. If you have like big, thick macrame cord, it might work, but you're just literally untwisting the yarn, and you get these nice curly cues. On the blue feather that I did, some of the yarn that I chose was cotton instead of acrylic. So this yarn here is acrylic and it gets the curliness. But these two darker blues are a cotton yarn, and so they're not as curly. So that'll, there'll be a little bit of a difference when, depending on what material you have. But you just keep unwinding them, and then you'll end up like this. So I've got one side unwound, and the other side is not done yet. So then once you finish that first side, you just flip it over and start unwinding the second side. And then once you're done with your second side, it's time to shape your feather. So we just had, the straight line, and obviously a feather usually has more of like an oval or a curved look. So I like to lay my feather flat and use my scissors against the table or whatever surface I'm working on and trim one side and then the other. So here I gave this one a little bit of a haircut to make it more of a natural feather shape. And you can see like I missed some spots, so you might have to go back and clean it up. But that's really all you need to do. And the last finishing touch on these is I like to put a knot at the top and the bottom of the foundation yarn so that they don't fall off the end. So I just slide the pieces down a little bit and tie a little knot there at the very top and slide it back up. And then do the same thing down at the bottom of my feather. I just pull that knot through and then snug it up. And now my macrame feather bookmark is all set. Thank you.